that's a great question. I'll tell you, I'm a former prosecutor in Suffolk County. As a member of the legislature, I initiated and had legislation passed at different penalties for heroin traffickers back in the 90s. We know what the problem is here. We know what the devastation it can cause. I see it every day as an attorney in the courts. I see it in the communities, and some of it's hidden. But there's certainly that kind of proposal is going to be a model for almost every part of the Commonwealth. That's where we're going with this thing. You have to balance it. And I'll say one other thing. It's just so in case you don't know, because it's something I'm proud of, is a month after I was elected selectman, I initiated the Substance Abuse Prevention Coalition in Hingham. And what we're doing is trying to provide education and preventive measures and opportunities for treatment for people on the South Shore, because it is everywhere. It's an epidemic. And we're working with communities such as Hull, Cohasset, Norwell, Marshfield, and Situate, and Duxbury, all the towns in the district. It's something I believe very deeply in, and I'm very personally committed to. It'll be one of my priorities if and when I'm elected senator.
Thank you. Joan?
Oh, I agree. This is another issue that I think has hit our district hard, and it needs to be a top priority. I actually started as a criminal defense lawyer and as a civil rights lawyer, so I've seen it as well, and the havoc that it can cause in how it forces people into the criminal justice system. We absolutely need drug courts. We absolutely need diversion programs, but what it means is that we have to then invest in those things, because people need to be able to go someplace. They need to be able to get services. So it's going to take someone to advocate for things like building out the budget at the Department of Mental Health, funding beds for people who have either mental health or addiction issues, and funding some of those programs and the courts, because that's the next piece. You can't just say we're going to divert people and that we're going to decriminalize. We actually have to help create some of the programs to service them.
Thank you. Paul?
Sure. And I think it'd be important in this type of a topic to also address the issue of the legislation that just passed. The governor initiated and the legislature refined it and crafted a bill that will cut down on the opioid abundance. If there's one thing I've heard from people everywhere I go, is they cannot understand why these pills are being dispensed in the quantities they are. And for folks that don't know, it's your average person who is maybe taking medication for a sports injury or a work injury, who gets hooked on these things because they just throw them at you for long periods of time. And then what happens when they cut off the prescription? These good people they're addicted and they go to other sources. And I've seen people, families devastated, I've had friends, family members die, people that should never have been put in this position. So this is only the beginning of combating the problem, but it is a good start.
I would agree. I think that this is a complex problem, and it requires coordination at the local, in the community, as well as at the State House and federally. And I actually applaud some of the initial legislative steps that have been taken, and and kudos to the police chiefs who are pushing that forward and see that it's a start. I would agree that they have taken the important first step towards destigmatizing the issue. And I think that's probably the single biggest thing that we can do, is to make it okay, step forward, and ask for help. But then we have to be there with the strategies and the ability to help and the patience, because these things take time sometimes. It's a high recidivist rate, and we have to understand that it's not going to just go away, and that it is a complex, multiple-pronged approach